Hey everyone, before I start today's video, I wanted to mention that me and Sarah Sunstone have started a new podcast channel. The channel and the podcast is called Everything Coral Island, and we basically talk about everything Coral Island. If you're a fan of Coral Island, this is the perfect podcast for you. We will be talking about things like news, developer updates, and speculations. And sometimes we'll just go on rants. And if you're interested in any of those topics, this is the podcast for you. Our goal is to upload once a week, and our first episode is already up. So in the description, I'm going to be putting the first episode of the Everything Coral Island podcast. So go ahead and check that out after this video, give it a like and comment, and let me know what you guys think. Now for today's video, I want to talk about multiplayer, what's been confirmed, and what I'm expecting from the multiplayer when it comes out. So Coral Island features the option to play the game in single player mode or in one of two multiplayer modes, online multiplayer or local split screen co-op. Up to 4 players will be supported. Funding for the guaranteed multiplayer development came from a highly successful Kickstarter campaign. More developers will be hired to help implement multiplayer at no detriment to the single player experience, the primary development focus. So basically, Coral Island had a Kickstarter stretch goal of $600,000 to unlock multiplayer, and they reached that goal within like a week. In the most recent developer update of March of 2021, Stairway Games or Coral Island have actually posted the 2 jobs that are going to be related to multiplayer. So they're hiring a full-time multiplayer programmer and a part-time multiplayer engineer consultant. So it's good to know that there's going to be at least one full-time person always dedicated to making the multiplayer as great as possible. There's also a part-time multiplayer engineer consultant. I'm not exactly sure what that job title means, but I'm hoping maybe that person will be able to do cross-platform play for Coral Island. So meaning that let's say one person has a PC copy and one has a Switch copy, those 2 people would be able to play multiplayer together. As of right now, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, as of right now that is not confirmed. Multiplayer would only be able to happen between PC, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. So there won't be any cross-platform. Also, multiplayer will not be available in the alpha version of the game. It will most likely be released when the game actually comes out, possibly if they have a beta stage of the game, maybe in the middle of next year of 2022. Maybe they'll do a multiplayer beta. That would make sense. Maybe try to test out the server, see if it can handle everybody that's playing. And as I said, multiplayer is not confirmed to be cross-platform, but cross-platform multiplayer gameplay is under consideration for later in the development, if feasible. So for online multiplayer, each player must have their own device, copy of the game, and controller, or keyboard and mouse if you're on PC. And then for split screen co-op, this game mode is played on a single device and one copy of the game with one controller for each player. Or I'm assuming if you're on PC, you can have one person on keyboard and mouse and one person on controller, or both people on controller. Then for farming, the farm can be run by a single player in a single player mode or by multiple players in an online multiplayer or split screen co-op modes. So if you and your friends or partner decide that you guys want to do an online multiplayer experience, you would have separate houses, I'm assuming, but you guys all would be working on one farm. And I know there's been a lot of questions about romance in the multiplayer mode. So players can romance either NPCs, non-player characters, or other players. If one player marries an NPC or other player, then no other player can marry the same NPC or player. When I say player, that means an actual person when you're in multiplayer mode. Players can date multiple townsfolk at a time, but can only marry one NPC or person at a time. Polyamory and dating during marriage are not supported, though in February of 2021, developers tentatively said that polyamorous marriages can be considered much later in the game's development. So this is great for any couples that play the game together. You'll be able to play together, get married, have your own farm, and live in your little fantasy. Now let's talk about children. Players can have up to 2 children. It's not yet confirmed whether Valentina will count towards this limit because Valentina is Suki's daughter. So if you do date and end up marrying Suki as one of the dateable characters, we don't know yet if that will count towards one of the 2 children that you're allowed to have in the game. We also don't know how children between players in multiplayer mode will be implemented. After having children, the player will continue playing as their character. The children are and will remain NPCs, meaning non-player characters. Basically, so if you have a kid, you're not going to be able to play as the kid, and I don't think anybody really expected that. You'll just be able to see them grow up into their teenage years. So that is everything that has been confirmed about multiplayer so far. I'm sure towards the end of this year, we'll hear more about multiplayer, and I'm excited to see how far Coral Island will take multiplayer. So earlier I said that they hired a full-time developer to work on multiplayer, and I'm hoping that's enough for that person to be able to refine multiplayer enough and make it detailed enough also for everybody to have fun when they're playing together. There's so many questions to still be answered, like let's say if I play with somebody, will I be able to go diving with them? Will I be able to go to those different islands when island hopping releases, when the full game releases? While there's still many questions that are still unanswered about multiplayer, I'm confident in Coral Island and Stairway Games to make the best multiplayer experience they can. I'm excited for this feature to come out, and I hope to play with some of you in multiplayer. I think it'd be cool to maybe get some subscribers and make a little world. You can have multiple saves in the game, so I'm assuming you'll be able to have like multiple saves with multiple people. But anyway, that's everything I have to talk to you guys about multiplayer. Put in the comments below what's your favorite feature about multiplayer so far. Anyway, give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.